Hey everyone, Jelle here, growing bonsai. This is a trick to create a better Nebari on your bonsai. So I could put a knife here. Let's see. There's a aluminium wire and it goes all the way around. Can you believe it? This is what matted roots are. This is trees that need repotting. Huh. I guess we could call this a flat Nebari, right? Very nice, homogeneous root spread, evenly tapering out. Do you want to know what it looks like? I'm going to take these out of the pot. I'm going to show you what the roots look like and I'll tell you what I did to get them to this point. 1 maple, 2 maple. What else do these three have in common? You don't know? I can tell you. Both of them were collected as a stump. This one was an old hedgerow, cut back in 2 big places and left to grow from there. This one was grown out for bonsai, cut at an angle and never really healed. Next to that there's another thing that I have in common. Both trees also have quite strong sacrifice branches on it. I'm doing that because I want this trunk to be thicker. If you look here, this is a twin trunk bonsai and this trunk is shorter than this trunk and therefore should be thinner. A shorter tree normally has a thinner trunk, especially when they are the same age. Therefore I'm letting a sacrifice branch here, this one, and a sacrifice branch here, that one, grow out. These are quite tall, but I'm going to let them grow a lot taller. This one I'm just letting one sacrifice grow to aid with the closing of this wound. I planted both of them 2 years ago on a piece of wood. What this does is that all the roots that grow out of the trunk are forced to go sideways rather than down. That means that you get nice, big, strong surface roots, hardly any vertical roots, and with that you widen the base of the trunk. So the top surface soil is gone and now if you look here there's a aluminium wire and it goes all the way around. This is the wire that I use to compress the roots down. So there's a wooden plate here, just below the roots. The whole tree sits on it. I put all the roots out evenly, and then I put little nails in the wood. I don't know where the nails went. I don't see a single one. Maybe they can't have dissolved in this 2 years, right? Anyway, oh yeah, here's their nail. There you go. I nailed it onto the wooden slate to keep this down, keep the roots in place. Now, in theory, I should be able to just cut all the way along the edge and lift it with the plate. This is the bottom of the wooden plate. So I could put a knife here. Let's see. There we go. This of course needs to all come out, all this metal. Don't need this anymore. If you leave this on for much longer, and if you actually redo this every couple of years, you can get the roots to fuse into a complete pancake. I don't like the pancake look, some people do. This is the way how you go about it. You take a piece of wood, you cut all the roots except for a few surface roots, you plant the tree on top, and then with nails or wire or a combination of wire and nails, you position every single root in its own space. Then you plant the whole thing up. I left quite a bit of substrate below so that the roots can go underneath and grow. And after a couple of years, this I think it's 2 or 3 years ago that I did this, you lift it and a very nice flat surface has emerged. But I can get the plate off below it. Seems to be tightly connected. It's almost falling apart. There's rotten by the looks of things. But there you can see there's no roots, there's just this, yeah, what is it? It's sort of a ply wood. well decomposed. But now this is as flat as a root ball as you can get on a tree like this. Look at that. And that is because I did a very heavy pruning on the roots before I planted it, and I only left the very small young roots. Now I can start pruning off all these segments that are here sticking out. These bigger roots I just prune back. And I'm just going to do that all around the root ball. But look at this Nebari. Look at these nice roots that have developed over the last years. Ready to go back into a training pot for another few years. And then, yeah, ready for a normal pot. Look at that. Isn't that great? So trim the edge of the root ball clean, making sure that there's no curved, hooked roots anymore. Look at this. This is something that just got to the end of the pot, or the beginning of the pot, flipped and went down. That needs to come off. In fact, you might want to go in and look for the root itself and reduce that a little bit. Taking the very big roots out. This one is also a very strong root. I'm going to reduce it a little bit to get movement, taper and all the other good stuff in there. Furthermore, make sure that you don't get a completely straight edge. So I every once in a while go into the root ball and go deeper and remove roots there. This seems to be underneath. So an uneven, jagged edge is what you're looking for in the root ball. So it's not a matter of just bluntly clipping everything to the same length. You could start off that way, but then you have to go into the root ball and see what's happening there. This is a very heavy root that I want to get out. Just like that. And once you get to the end of your repotting, also look at the bottom of the tree. Remove any big roots that are growing there, especially if they come from the center of the root ball. Flip them off, pull them out. This way you keep the root ball nice and smooth and shallow. Of course, if there's a big callus developing here, you can go in with a concave cutter and remove the callus there as well. So this is now ready to go back into the pot. I am going to put the piece of wood below it again. I'm not going to tie any roots down in this situation. Keep in mind that this is the product of several years of work. You cannot just go and cut off all your roots if you haven't prepared a tree like this before. So here you can see still big stumps. There were big roots, and I first reduced the big roots. Over 2-3 repotting seasons I've cut all the big roots off, allowing every second one in place. Then I had lots of finer roots. Then when I repotted I could place it on a piece of wood. So don't go directly from a field collection onto a piece of wood. Allow the tree to first get finer roots closer to the trunk, with which you can then build the Nebari. The bottom of the trunk I basically cut flat when I collected it, but that didn't require any big cuts. So you can see here, these are the surface roots that were already in place. So I cut right at the bottom of the surface roots any vertical roots that were there. I'll get this potted up and get the other one out. So here there's 2 wires that keep the plant on the wood, but there's no connections at the bottom. Let's see whether I can just get this out like this. You can see here, however, the substrate stands over the rim of the pot, so there's going to be a lot of roots here at the bottom of the pot. Lots of things to cut away. Probably a complete solid root ball. Yep, as expected. So the wooden board is right here. Let's see whether also here we can just get a knife underneath it and slice the rest of the plant off. Getting this off might be a little bit more difficult, because if I remember correctly, it's not 1 piece but 2 pieces of wood that's in between. And that might just have roots in between. Look at that, just one solid root mass. There you go. Nice flat Nebari with nice horizontal surface roots. I guess we could call this a flat Nebari, right? Very nice homogeneous root spread, evenly tapering out, ready to be planted for another season. This will eventually become the front of the tree, but the back I want to close further, so this I'm going to let run for another season. I'm going to plant it back up on the pieces of wood. This round I'm not going to put any nails or any wire. I'm just going to plant it like this, on top, in the pot, wire it down and let it grow. So no more roots can go down, they all have to go over the edge to grow out in the substrate below, reinforcing the horizontal spread here. And in 2 years I'll take it out of the pot. Maybe next year I can already prune it back here, let a new runner start and start developing the rest of the tree. So with the tree back in the pot and attached to the pot, it is now time to have a final check and see whether there's any roots that are really in the wrong place. So I just like to go through with the chopstick, and certainly for the surface roots, make sure that they all move outwards, like a root like this one. That should just not be going around. Let's take it off. There's nothing big left anymore because I did the pruning, but it's always useful to make sure there's no really odd things happening in your root ball before planting it back up. This is also the time to check whether there's no big roots that you've overlooked when pruning, whether they need any more pruning. But besides that, it's all ready to go. There's a lot of fine roots left. So in all these fine roots will mean that the plant has a very easy time recovering from this. All these root tips now will start growing, and in a week or two will have started to grow into the new substrate, and at that point the tree will be leaving out, ready to go for the season. I'll fill this up with substrate, water it and put it back where it came from. Ready for another season. Let's see how these Nebaris look in 2 years' time.